Hi friends, good morning. I'm fully not in my template, but I think we're gonna make it happen. So this is a new version for this year of the AutoCAD conversion assignment. So we're gonna start by opening a new file, or actually creating a new file. We'll use our template. Great. Yes, I know it's watermarked. It's okay. And then I'm going to show you how to import an AutoCAD drawing. So you will have downloaded from Canvas the Greenway Court AutoCAD drawing. You cannot double click and open a DWG. It don't play like that. So you have to actually come in with your file open already and then go to File and Import. Okay. When you get all the way up here, it's the single DXF/DWG file. We click on that. We go find the thing you downloaded. Conveniently, I'm already open to it. And I open this AutoCAD file. Okay. It's going to do things automatically. I usually just let it do that and I say okay. So now here is a Greenway Court theater file. Imports is happy. Okay. The first thing I'll do once I import an AutoCAD file is actually check that the layer is correctly scaled. So if you right click on this layer and hit edit, typically it'll come in at 1:50 and the rest of our drawing is in 1:48 or 1/4 inch scale. So this is where I would go to the scale button and I would just switch to 1/4 inch and it'll automatically scale the drawing so that now it shows up the same with everybody else. The next thing I'll do is come over to the stacking order, pull it all the way to the bottom because I'm going to be drawing things on top of it. But as long as I have this gray snap others setting, or it could be show snap others depending on which mode you want to play in, I will be able to see and snap to the existing drawing, which is great. So now, because I'm building the theater floor plan, I'm going to go to the theater floor plan layer. Okay. And if you look in here, right, you'll see that there are lighting pipes, there is a stage deck, there are audience risers and an audience seating section out here in the back. I've given you PDFs that show the heights of those things, so you can use those as a reference as you come in and trace this file. This week we're going to do walls, doors, and the stage platform. And then we'll come back in next week and talk about how we do lighting and overhead and stuff like that. So in this space, it's a vaulted ceiling with some cool structure. So we'll drop that in next week. And we'll also correct some of the other stuff going on over here. Okay. So first thing I'm going to talk about is the wall tool, which we've not really used before. It's in your little house. Hi, I'm the wall. Great. So I'm going to take my wall tool. I'm going to come in here actually before I get too crazy and I'm going to measure the thickness of this wall, this existing wall, so I know what we're working with. So it's a 9-inch wall. Great. Good to know. Put that in my memory. Now I can create a wall style that will be this exterior wall for me, right? So I'm going to come in here to... Yeah, you'll see there's no wall styles in our untitled file. No wall styles, so we have to make one. There's a pencil and a wrench, and if I click on that, it's like, oh, hi, I'm the wall preferences box. I won't fit inside of your screen recording, but the bottom is just the OK button, so it's OK. I want to create this wall type, and we're going to call it exterior walls, right? We know its overall thickness is 9 inches. Then we can come in and edit wall attributes. And we're going to give it a little bit of a heavier pen because it is an exterior wall. And we're also going to change its fill from solid to a hatch. And I'm looking for just regular old diagonal lines. They may or may not be real available to me, but if I go to ANSI here, like it's possible we have a default hatches one, or I like this cast iron, which is just regular diagonal lines, but that way it looks like the diagonal lines we typically use. So I can double click on that and select that hatch. So now it'll have a heavier line and it'll have that diagonal line hatch as its wall style. Okay. So I click OK, right? And then I save the preferences as a wall style, and we're going to call this exterior wall 9 inches. Okay, so now I have an exterior wall style that I can use to build these walls, right? And if I come back in here, no, it's not there. You can also change in this components the height of those walls. I don't remember right now what that height will be, but if you wanted to, you could add a new component and give it a wall height if that's something that is helpful to you. But we're going to skip that for now, and we'll change the height after we trace the walls that exist. So I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to delete that there random thing, and I'm going to go grab my wall tool. I know it's kind of squished in here. It's in the tool set for the tiny house. Okay. When you look at your wall tool, it has control lines. This is the line you're tracing as you draw your wall. In this case, I'm going to use the right control line mode. I'm going to start down here at the bottom, and then I'm going to trace this wall around the 3 sides of this theater. Okay. And double click, and now I have a wall. It has a wall style with the nice diagonal lines, and it is 9 inches thick. If I hit Shift C to go into 3D mode, it's not really tall enough, right? It's only 10 feet tall right now, and you can see that over here in the object info. So Command 5 back to top plan view, and we can measure this height in order to give our wall a correct height. So it's actually 13 foot 7.5 inches, and that will be the height I want to make this wall. So I take my X key to get back to my selection tool, and I select the 3 walls, come in here, and I say 13 feet 7.5 inches. So now that wall is its correct height. So that's your basic walls situation. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is draw in the floor of this space, and it will go into this rectangle, right? We're going to start knowing our heights of our platforms, which is given on your handout. It's also available to you right here. So if we take our measuring tool, we can be like, okay, the tallest one, well, it's going to be 1'6", right? The second one is 1'1", or 1 foot even, and then the last one is only 6 inches. I don't know where that extra 1/8 is coming from, but we're not going to worry about it. So 6 inches, 1 foot, 1'6" are the 3 steps of that riser platform. What that means is I want, anytime I'm drawing a theater space, I want the stage height, the standard stage height, to be at the 0 level. And the reason for that is that I want anything I add in later, like scenery, whatever, I want it to sit on top of the floor. So if you were to make the 0 level of this space, this lower audience floor, then you would have to move everything that you put on stage up that 1'6", that 18 inches. That's annoying. So we're going to make the stage height that 1'6" baseline, right? Make that the 0 level for this stage. So to do that, why don't we start, right? We'll start by drawing this nice big floor, and I'm still measuring things instead of drawing a rectangle. That's keyboard shortcut 4. I'm going to start by just drawing a big rectangular floor. Wow, I didn't even have these walls the same length when we got this AutoCAD file. They tend to be a mess, or in some ways a mess, AutoCAD files that you get, or any file you get from someone else. So now I have a big, huge floor. Can't really see through it. That's kind of a problem. We're going to make it a 3-dimensional object because right now it's a flat object. So I'm going to do that by Command E, extrude, and I'm going to extrude it minus, right? So it's going down from its personal 0 height, 1/2 inch, right? Just to give it enough thickness that it's now a 3-dimensional object. Then I'm going to come in here and change its bottom Z to that 18 inches below. Okay, so now we have our floor. It's kind of floating below. We actually will want our walls also to go all the way down to that floor. Otherwise, life is just weird. And that's something we can actually change in our wall settings as well. So I'm going to come back to those walls, right? And I'm going to have it have a bottom offset of negative 18 inches. Okay, so that will just drop down the bottom of the wall to go all the way to this lower floor we've just created. So now we at least have the floor of the overall space, walls that connect to that floor. It's a good start. Command 5, back to top plan view. So next thing I'm going to do is draw in the risers, and I'll do those in basically the same way we've been sort of adding shapes together. There are some weird little gaps. I'm going to ignore them and assume that we go wall to wall on these. So first I'm drawing the two shapes, right, just by snapping to the existing shapes. I'm drawing those two shapes and selecting them both, adding surface, the way that we've been doing, to make one bigger shape. And then this I'm going to extrude, and because the top level is where we want it, I can extrude it the full 18 inches down. So now at the 0 level, we have that top step of the risers. Everything else is now sinking below the floor. Okay, back into top plan view. Let's do the next two risers, and then we can add those three surfaces all together, or add those three shapes all together. Great. And middle step is here to here. Great. X key, shift, modify, add surface. This one is only -1 foot, and its bottom Z is -6 inches, so it'll be a 6-inch step down. And then our last one will be all the same for our bottommost row. X, shift, modify, add surface, extrude, -6 inches, right? Bottom Z, -1 foot. And let's see where we're at. Let's see if that all sits the way it's supposed to. Oh, looky there, right? So that all looks pretty good. Our CAD layer, because it's gray, is kind of intersecting with some stuff, and that makes it a little harder for us to see. I'm going to real quick edit this layer, and I'm going to move its elevation down that 18 inches, just so that it's below all of our other lines, maybe even 19 inches, right? So now we can really see what we're working with. In 2021, it'll be OpenGL that you switch into. In 2022, it would be shaded. So I need to get over to, I don't have enough space in my toolbar. Hold please. I'm going to make this bigger so I can see the thing, and then I'll put it back. So I'm going to go over here to shaded, and now I can see that those risers are all sitting amongst each other the way that we want them to be. So that looks pretty great. And now I can go back to top plan view, and we're here. Okay. So the next thing that I want you to look at and learn how to do today is using the door tool. And the door tool, let's make sure I'm still on the correct layer. I am. I'm still on my theater floor plan layer. The door tool does a lot of the things you did with those doors before, except it does them automatically because Vectorworks does things. That's a real thing we do. I'm going to just pop attributes over here for a second. So the door tool is in your tool sets. If you're using my workspace, it's bounced up to the top, but I'm using not my workspace. I'm using the random default workspace. So you can scroll down in the little house until you find the door. This door is going to go right in the center of this wall. So midpoint is where it's going to go, and it's going to open up and off. So it's going to open up stage like that. Once you click once to, like, so the wall highlights red, you click once to set the door in, and then you can move your mouse around to set where the door swing will go. And in this case, it will swing open in this way. All right, so that's the door. Pro tip about the door, you can make it do what we wanted it to do when we were hand drafting and put a dashed line for the overhead of it all. And the way to do that is actually to change the door style. So if you come over here, it has all of these door things, right? We can hit settings. It's going to open up a whole door settings window for you. Again, there's probably more down here that you can't quite see. But what that allows you to do is choose all kinds of features of the door, right? We're using a standard 3-foot wide door that's 6'8" tall. We want to now change the 2D visualization, okay? And in the 2D visualization, I want to change the line style for the overhead, right? So that the wall lines, which are right here, instead of being a solid line, so the line where the break in the wall I want to have as a dashed line. So I'm going to switch it down here to this short dashed, okay? And then when I click OK, yeah, you can save the file, fine, whatever. You should save it for real. It should make those wall lines apparent. It didn't. I think I need to tell it to draw the wall lines. One moment. Let's go back in and tell it to draw the wall lines. Now it'll create those dashed lines for me. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Now it looks just like you're hand drafting, but it was so much easier. So that is how to add a door. We may have a problem, right? Which is, in the real world, the door is up that step. In our drawing, it may or may not be. So let's go check and make sure. Yeah, so in our world right now, the door is down here at the very bottom edge of the wall. Not what we want, right? We want the door to sit at the top of the platform. So I'm going to select that door. And if you scroll down here, boop, 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 it should have height. Yeah, so height right now is at -1.6 or -1'6". I'm going to make that height 0. And now it's moved up to the same height as those 3 steps, okay? I think the other thing I was going to do was make those 3 steps into one object, which I haven't done yet. So if I hit X key and I select those 3, I can use in the model tool set, add solids, and make that one beautiful riser object, okay? That's all for this phase of the project. Next week, so go ahead and do all of those things. Next week, we will come in and do audience seating and the overhead lighting stuff, okay? So if you have time, because everybody's got so much time, you can use all of the skills you've learned on that 3D desk to trace and then convert this overhead archway so that it sits at these positions across the stage, right? So you can draw these lines across and then a line in order to put those overhead framing pieces in. So that's something you can go ahead and work on, and otherwise I can walk you through that next week and also talk about seating risers and talk about lighting positions, which is a bigger project. So go ahead and get this part done and let me know if you have questions, if there's anything I can help you with. I am happy to. Thanks, friends. Bye.